Until now, this may have been the most enduring image of Osama bin Laden, boasting over his greatest and most diabolical triumph. Bin Laden's gloating performance before a home video camera was the most telling glimpse of a man who, although known the world over, in fact the world hardly knew at all. His hatred of the U.S. and love of militant Islam was born, it seems, in the 1980s, when the rich kid from Saudi Arabia put his money and his reputation behind the fight against the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. His family construction business in Saudi Arabia had generated a fortune, estimated in the hundreds of millions of dollars, dollars which were funneled into building his own training camp known as Al-Masada, the Lion's Den. With the Soviets defeated, bin Laden turned on his former ally, the United States, and its ongoing involvement in the Islamic world, specifically the continuing presence of American troops in Saudi Arabia. He angrily castigated the Saudi regime for allowing infidel American troops in the land of Islam's holiest shrines, and was stripped of his Saudi nationality. By 1992, even his own family had disowned him, and his life in exile, first in the dust of Sudan, had begun. It was here that he planted the seeds of Al-Qaeda and set to extending a network of hatred, directing and financing terror wherever he could. When the World Trade Center was attacked the first time, killing 6 people, it turned out one of the plotters had been living in Pakistan in a house owned by bin Laden. When 2 American embassies were bombed, this time killing more than 200 people, those on trial admitted Al-Qaeda had been planning the attacks for 5 years. Bin Laden never claimed responsibility, but from the caves of Afghanistan his message was clear. It was the duty of Muslims, he said, to kill Americans, wherever they were and whoever they were with. The FBI put bin Laden on its most wanted list of terrorists. He had become the Pied Piper of the jihad, directing his suicidal warriors from behind the protective security of the Taliban regime. Bin Laden felt he had become immune, says Al-Quds editor Abdul Bari Atwan.
When I interviewed him in November in 1996, he said, I left too much. I should be died long time ago when I was fighting the Soviet Union, and I regret I didn't die in that time.
He tried to blow up the Los Angeles airport, but the plot failed when the bomber was caught with a carload of explosives at the Canadian border. He tried again with deadly effect in the port of Aden in Yemen. This time, no one caught the tiny boat full of explosives as it approached the USS Cole. 17 U.S. sailors were killed. But ultimately, bin Laden wanted his war of terror on the U.S. to be waged on American soil. The September 11th attack, the effect of which the world could never have contemplated, seems even to have surprised bin Laden himself. But bin Laden may have been surprised by the world's reaction too. It resulted in broad international support for American action in Afghanistan. And although a link with Al-Qaeda was never proved, it served as part of the supply justification for the US-led invasion of Iraq. It turned Osama bin Laden into a fugitive, but not a repentant one. In the end, Osama bin Laden was undone by his own perverse success, an attack so devastating it caused 2 retaliatory wars and launched the biggest manhunt the world has ever known. Mark Phillips, CBS News, London.